Welcome back to Approved AF, the mortgage licensing podcast, where we share stories and strategies to help you grow your mortgage business without the chaos. I'm your host, Catalina Stepanoff, and today we're talking with Matt Rosen, CEO of American Lending Conference and the host of the Lender's Playbook. Matt's story is about grit, growth, and knowing when to pivot. From selling sponsorships at his father's events to launching his own national conference, he's built a brand around education, connection, and leading with authenticity. So, without further ado, let's jump in. Hi, Matt. Thank you so much for being on with me today.
Hey, Catalina, thank you. It's an honor to be on your podcast.
Thank you. For our listeners at home and those who don't know who you are, can you give us a little bit about your background and what was the journey that led you to becoming the CEO of American Lending Conference?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. It's a good question. And it's not really a straight line. It never really is. It's always like a curvy, kind of a messy process. So I'm going to try to make it as straight as possible in this short little elevator pitch here. So, real quick background, because I think it's to understand a little bit of context. It makes sense. So, born in Minnesota, raised in Hawaii, live in Hawaii. So that's weird, right? I mean, because Minnesota and Hawaii is so polarizing opposites of each other, I guess. And but raised out here in Hawaii, that's where I live. Down here my whole life. Saw my father throughout life, as a kid in his entrepreneurial ventures. A lot of entrepreneurial things that he did growing up. So I grew up in that world. So that's really all I knew. And it was kind of like in my DNA to be a business owner, an entrepreneur of some sort. And so my whole life really has always been kind of like, and athletics too was a big part of my life. Wrestling and other things like that. But wrestling was really a big thing in high school and college, and coaching and all that stuff. And so it played a big part in who I am. And so because of that accountability in wrestling that you have, where it's like, if you win, you take the credit. If you lose, that's on you. And it's a one-on-one type of a situation. I always felt drawn to like business where I'm relying on myself. If it's hunt, kill, eat type of a mindset. And so that's kind of what I did throughout my whole life is, if I want to get paid a certain amount, then I have to work this hard. I have to persuade people to purchase this product or service that I'm selling. Sorry, fast forward. My father started the Pitbull Conference, ran that for 20 something years in 2001, 2002-ish timeframe. I was working with him on the sales side, somewhat of a glorified salesperson. So I was the one selling the tickets, selling the sponsorships, getting people in the door for many years. Enjoyed what I did. Realized that it's more than just the sales thing. That's a lot of it is promotions. That's what I really enjoy doing, is promoting other companies that are in our ecosystem. So even back in like early 2000s, I was doing whatever I can, like email campaigns. We didn't have anything fancy. There was really no email service providers. Well, there was, but there wasn't really like feature rich stuff. So it's just kind of like blasting stuff out. No rhyme or reason, helping other people. And so anyway, I did that for a while, enjoyed what I did, built up a lot of good relationships. My father sold Pitbull Conference and the NPLA to Mr. John Hornick in, I always get this time frame wrong. I'm thinking end of 2022, I believe.
Okay.
I was on board with John for a few months on the sales side, right? Still doing what I've been doing for all these years. I just, for so many years also, I wanted to start my own conference, but I just never had the heart to like go like up against my father in this business. That would be weird, right? So I just didn't. So it was just like, that'd be fun. That'd be cool, but it's not going to happen. So I figured, well, this is a good opportunity to start. I remember the day it happened. Now, mind you, there's been years where I would get a pen and paper and I would just jot down all these great ideas I would have. What would I do if I started a conference? And I did that for years, right? So it's always been on my mind. And so I remember the day it was a defining moment. I was sitting in the parking lot, ready to go into the gym because I typically go to the gym like at 12-ish or something before I pick up my daughter. So sitting there and it hit me. I'm like, that's it. I'm leaving. I'm leaving this company. I'm going to start my own. And it was as simple as that. And it's just a quick little decision. It was a defining moment. Probably took like 4 minutes of my time. And then I just started again, pen and paper. Again, I started writing down all these ideas, and one thing led to another. Open up an LLC and a website, and
One thing led to another, just opened up an LLC.
yeah, literally.
No, but you really did take the time to think that through in the sense of like it had been percolating in your brain and your heart for years. And then when that opportunity presented itself, you were ready to pull the trigger.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I figured most sales guys figure this, that they can do a better job, right? What I found is much harder than I ever imagined, um, but it's I just love what I do. But it was
Very
it
rewarding.
is great, very rewarding. Yes, thank you. Yeah. So that's kind of the long and short story of it. That's where I started, and it wasn't without it being a little messy in the beginning, and still is. But like any business venture, that's how it works.
Yep. You kind of learn on the fly, trial by fire, all of the good stuff, because that's what makes you great. And when you can operate under pressure.
Hmm. Oh yeah. Oh, the pressure, the pressure. I didn't realize really how expensive it is to for this whole thing. I thought, yeah, I'll be able to cut some costs. Like I thought, yeah, there's a way. Like I'm a good negotiator, so I'm going to be able to like get these prices way lower than what I know them to be. And no, that's just not the case. In fact, it's much higher now. So this is the cost of running it is very high, but that's what I wasn't really that aware. Well, I was aware of it, but mindful of it, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think that's a good point. Is like we're aware of the cost of things, but we're not mindful of how that's actually going to
Mm,
impact the numbers of
yeah,
things
absolutely.
and how much everything kind of just adds up and can add up very quickly if you're not careful.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, one of the things that you also are the host of is the Lender's Playbook.
Hmm.
And that's a podcast that you've been doing for some time now. What inspired you to start a podcast and how does that tie into your mission for the industry?
Yeah. What a great question. Thank you. Again, so for those years that I was thinking about starting my own conference, one of the ideas I had was a podcast. Back when podcasting was kind of like new and uh, not as much podcasters out there. I don't know when this was. I don't even know. Maybe when it was this 2010, 11, 12 or something that I was like, hey, we should do a podcast. And um, the kickback I got from my father at the time, and I understand where he's coming from, is like he wanted to have like a really fancy studio. If we're going to do a podcast, we need to be perfect at this. We need to have like the expensive kind of like the Joe Rogan studio, if you will, like,
Doesn't it?
and have only the best of the best guests and all this stuff. I'm like, I don't think that's really what I'm talking about. And so,
Yeah.
um, anyway, the podcast really is an extension of the conference. So I always thought to myself, wow, this is interesting. If you really think about going to an event, there could be hundreds of people. There could be even just 100 people. There could be whatever. You're not going to talk to all of those people. You're not able to get your story out to every one of those people. And there's 100% guarantee that there's somebody in that room that needs to hear your story that just so happened to grab their phone and answer a call right when they were supposed to have talked with you. And then now this big relationship doesn't happen. So I thought, what if I can get these stories told from our amazing sponsors and guests that come to my conference? Get this story, get their value prop shared to my community, and it will do a number of things. Number one, it's going to bring more attention and more branding and exposure back to my exhibitors and guests and sponsors and everything. But also it's going to provide valuable content to my growing community that needs to hear, what the licensing store has to say, or any other company that we work with. And so that was really the idea behind it. And then I thought, oh gosh, well, if this gets popular enough, maybe I could just be a podcaster, right? But really that was the idea initially, was just to provide more valuable content and to share that story to more people, more of the masses, and I love it. I could talk about podcasting forever because it's so fun.
Well, for those who don't know, like, you're the reason that we have a podcast, because anybody who knows me knows that talking in a big group of people kind of is like a lot for us, and or a lot for me, and we're all virtual for our company. And being a guest on your podcast
Right.
inspired me to say, well, I can have a one-on-one conversation with people that we've interacted with, or with people that would be a great resource for our clients, and share stories and strategies. And that's how this came to be, because of you.
That's amazing. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's so cool. And to your credit, you spoke at our last conference and you were so polished and
Oh,
so like
thank you.
poised, even though, and like, I think you said something like, oh, I usually don't do these types of things up here on stage or whatnot. But what happens is when you podcast and when you interview people and you're always like talking, it really helps your communication skills, especially in front of larger groups of people. So I can
Yeah. And
see like, wow, you were sharp.
oh, thank you. Yeah, it's definitely something about being outside of my comfort zone is like the theme for the year, apparently. But, uh, again, it is something that I think, if you are passionate about, marketing or conferences or public speaking, you're going to take the extra time to practice and look
Uh-huh.
for avenues to expand in that area. So,
Absolutely.
jumping back to the American Lending Conference, what gap did you see in the industry that made you want to launch a conference like this? Because it is different than what your dad had.
Yeah, it's a good question. There at the time, there was these very big gaps that I saw, and that would our clients and everybody who told us that they saw, and that there's a kind of a problem at the time. And I don't know if it's still the issue now, but what ended up happening is they call it the Pitbull Mafia. The Pitbull Mafia was, it sounds cool, but really all it is it's just like the Good Old Boy Network started to form, and it became this thing where only the cool group of people could be part of this community. And if you weren't at a certain level, then you weren't really, it's very high schoolish, you weren't really accepted into this thing.
It's totally Mean Girls.
It's Mean Girls. It's total. I have 3 girls, so I really understand the whole Mean Girl concept.
No, you can't sit with us.
I know, because you're not on the cheer team, or you're not
Yep.
whatever, gosh. Oh man. Yeah, so there was the do not sit with us type of a thing going on. And then also we noticed that the amount of education wasn't really being presented the way I felt like it should be. I felt that way, and I heard other people saying the same thing. It's like, I get it. These people that are the Mean Girls, club, or the Good Old Boy networks, they're great. They're big, and they know what they're talking about. but we're talking about a lot of theories on stage. They're talking about market predictions. It's all important stuff, but people wanted to get something practical out of this conference. People come to our conference for mainly three reasons. Number one, they're looking for capital. They're raising capital for their lending company or their real estate investor. Number two, they're looking for more deal flow. If they're a lender, they're looking for more brokers to work with. If they're a service provider, you're looking for more lenders to jump on your in your business. And then the third is education. So people are looking for something that they can take away and use and actually make money with that same Monday morning.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of the things that I was looking to address that I didn't really see happening. Now it's changed. I'll say that. I mean, from what I hear, it's changed a lot. John is doing an amazing job at the MPLA. They just had a great conference in Scottsdale, and so hats off to them. From what I hear and see online, everything it looks great. Looks really good, and so. But that's at the time. That was some of the things I wanted to address, and still addressing really, because you can never get better. I mean, you can never get better. That makes zero sense. You know, scratch that. You can always get better. Always get better at those things, right? Education and bringing more deal flow to people and stuff like that.
And you said when you first started, it wasn't like smooth sailing. You did have some, obstacles to overcome. So how have you seen your conference evolve since it first started, and what makes it so impactful for
Yeah.
industry professionals out there?
Well, I guess the easy thing, what would have happened is, okay, so here, let me back up just one notch to tell that story. So, you know how I talked about, like, for years, I would think about having a conference and everything. Well, for years, people would say, hey, Matt, if you started a conference, I'm going to be your first sponsor at your event. And they would, and all the time, at almost every event, the same people would tell me the same thing. So when are you going to start your event? When are you going to start your conference? I'm going to be your first one. Okay. All right. So I'm like, okay, well, let's go. We're starting this conference, American Lending Conference. Let's go. Let's do this. Calling up those same people and getting the full cold, like either hard no or just going dark. Right. And we all know what that looks like. Right. Email, there's nothing. There's good voicemail, text, and all this stuff. LinkedIn, you could see that they read your message, but they're not responding. All that fun stuff. And I'm like, wow, that's interesting. And so what I found was those people that I never really had those relationships in the previous life came and said to me, like, I'll fight with you on this. Let's go. And so a lot of companies came and said, let's do this. And we started fresh new relationships, which ended up being such a bigger blessing to our business than having the same old folks saying, yeah, let's go. So we brought in a whole new array of people to our conference that people really haven't seen all that much in the past, if that makes sense, right? So like the DOS laws of the world and all these other companies that came on board and became such integral pillars of the American Lending Conference, you folks and so many others that have made a huge difference that weren't really established relationships all that much in the past. We knew of each other, but there really wasn't like, I call them up and they knew me by my voice. Like a lot of these other guys, like they don't need to know that I'm calling. We just know each other's voice. And those are the ones that said no for a number of reasons, not to get into it, but yeah, it was an interesting moment, but yet at the same time, such a huge win for the community, I believe.
Absolutely. When one door closes, another one opens, right?
Mhm. Yep.
When you have guests attend your conference, whether they're just attendees or they're strategic partners or something like that, what kinds of conversations and connections do you hope that they walk away with?
Yeah. Yeah, I try to uh, have a conversation with everybody that it has, well, definitely our sponsors, but I try to have a conversation with all of our attendees that have registered for the event so I can understand what their needs are. So everybody has a different need, want, desire at our event. Um, so it really kind of depends on the person's goals, right? But the conversations normally are the ones that are adding value to each other. And I always tell people, like, if you're at our event and you're there just to have a transactional relationship, this isn't the event for you. Where you're just coming to our event and you're grading everything on how much dollars am I getting from this conference. That's important metric to look at, but it's not really the heart. It's not really
Yeah.
that long-term vision that we're really talking about. So the conversations really would be value add for both people. Like I said, typically they're going to come to they're looking for capital, they're looking for deal flow or education. So in those relationships, if those three things are being talked about, I think that's a good, healthy conversation that they're having.
Absolutely. And having gone to your conferences, two of them now, I can attest that when you do talk to people, you give them your full attention. And that is not the case with every conference. Um, I mean, to even get your attention at such a busy time was like
Right.
a shock. And then to have your invested interest in like eye contact without just, head on a swivel kind of thing. It was it was very much like I mattered. And that doesn't always come across in other industry conferences because it does feel very transactional. And it's what's in it for me and versus how can I serve you and how can we partner together? And so if you guys are considering attending a conference, I do recommend it. I enjoy it very much. So
Thank you, Catalina. That's means a lot. Yeah.
absolutely. So, as a CEO and a leader, what are some of the biggest challenges you've faced in building, scaling, and running a large scale industry event?
Yeah. I'll just practically say that filling the room. I mean, and understanding that, yes, it's an event company. We put on events, right? American Lending Conference. That's what we do. But at the end of the day, we're really a marketing company. It's really a marketing promotions company. Marketing on my end, where I'm always marketing. And yeah, I'm selling, but I'm always marketing, whether that's on LinkedIn or email campaigns, um, all kinds of things that we do on the marketing side. And then there's there's a marketing side and the promotions, right? So one of my heart really in this business is how can I bring value to you before the conference starts? How can I let's get that cash register going, right, for you before the conference starts? How can I get more deal flow for you? How can I get more branding exposure and how can I get your name in our sphere, in our ecosystem, so that when you come to our conference, people already know you, like you, and trust you. And so that's been like I guess one of the key directions that we're going in right now is that a lot of conferences will just have a great conference, and that's really wonderful. But like, what about before, of course, during and after the event? How can we add more value to those people? So that's kind of where I'm not sure if I answered your question. I'm pretty sure I did a whole roundabout up from your question.
No,
Very
but
interesting.
again, filling the room is the
Oh, sure.
challenge.
Yeah.
Getting getting that promotional aspect, constantly moving to new spheres while maintaining those relationships of people that you have built a network with. I
Yes.
think simultaneously juggling both plates because again, it is different than just a transaction in and out. It is more like, you know, uh, maintaining that fire with
Yeah.
each of those individual people.
Sure.
Um,
Absolutely. Thank you. You pretty much answered what I was trying to say. Thank you.
no, I listened to everything you said, and
It's just
and
kind of like,
that's what I took out of it.
yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah. Yeah.
What leadership lessons have really stuck with you through the different seasons in the of the industry?
Yeah. Great question. So, because I'm a parent and, and I talked about my background in wrestling and what I saw in entrepreneurship, um, leadership lessons in my mind never really change. The markets will change. Interest rates are going to go up and down. Um, how, housing will always be there, but leadership traits and the characteristics of leadership will always stand constant, right? And so, one of the things that I always believed in is leading by example. I can say whatever I say. It doesn't really matter until someone sees me do something. And then they could say, oh, wow, okay, I'm going to emulate what they just did. So as a parent, you can tell your kids all day long, you need to do this, this, and that. And here's why. And you could preach all you want to them. And they might get it a little bit, but they're not going to really get it until they see you do it. Not just
Mhm.
one time, but they're going to have to see you kind of like habitually doing that one thing that you just talked to them about. So, um, yeah, is leading
Yeah.
by example.
That is a big piece of it, is that being consistent with that quality or that whatever it is that you're maintaining, leadership, honesty, integrity, and turning that over time and time again, even if it's not the thing that would be most satisfying in that moment, but
Absolutely.
people then can know what to expect when they're, talking to you. Your kids can know what to expect when they're watching you. Oh, my dad always is going to do the right thing because that's who he is to his core.
Yep, exactly, exactly. And if people see me doing that, then people will follow. The other thing I've noticed when I've done a lot of podcasts now and I've talked to a lot of people is the ability to pivot in
Mhm.
different types of markets that we're entering into or coming out of. What I've noticed is that a lot of the companies that I don't see around anymore were so dead set on taking advantage of the market the way it was at that time. And as you know, markets will last for seasons. So seasons are typically 3 to 6 months. A lot of them are 3 months, right? And then you enter into another season. So for you to pivot, for you to learn how to pivot without losing steam when that market changes, because it will, interest rates are now coming down, but they're gonna we don't know any of that stuff. None of that stuff we can predict.
Yep.
Um, or inflation or unemployment and all these other economic indicators of our industry that matter. Um, you just need to learn how to pivot without losing enthusiasm. And those companies that I've noticed that were able to pivot and able to take what they've grown at that time and like, okay, new market, new thing, let's do something different, full steam ahead without losing that, like, "Oh, okay, well, I guess we're gonna have to do this now, and then you lose.
Or you get those people that, "I wasn't prepared for this," and they start, like, freaking out and looking at it as an obstacle that they can overcome, and the ones that succeed look at it as, "Okay, this shifted, but how can I use this change as more of a
Mm,
slingshot and a barrier?"
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Um, so kind of going off of that, how do you see areas like licensing and compliance playing into the growth or into challenges of today's industry leaders?
Yeah, yeah. That's another really great question. You're good at this. You're a great host.
I'm just good at asking questions.
That's the key in everything, I think, in relationship. Um, okay, so it's very interesting because we had Doss Law give a very good keynote with a couple other attorneys on stage on how to expand your market to other states and how to go across state lines. And I think that the licensing topic has never been so hot as it is right now. And I felt like no one talks about it as much as they are right now, uh,
Okay.
because you need licensing to grow and to scale your business. If you're looking to add more account executives to your team, and I hope people are, because that's how you grow, you're going to need to like figure out the licensing thing. And I know most people, if um, they're running a business and they're tight on money, they're just going to try to figure it out on their own, and they're going to spend countless hours and sweat and all this stuff into this licensing thing, trying to figure it out. Wow. When they could have just used you folks and talked to you folks. Um, but in order to grow, you're going to need the whole licensing component and partnership in your business, period. That's a fact. There is no way around that. So growing, expanding to other states and having more account executives on your team, which is the two things that's how we're growing in this industry. Licensing it goes hand in hand with that.
Yep. Yep. Again, is figuring it out the highest and best use of your time. Because sometimes it is. Sometimes there is no extra dollars to be spent and you have to grind it out. But if you have the ability to, you know, be forward thinking and say 1 hour of closing a deal is going to yield me the cost of outsourcing this, and I get, 15 hours back in my week to work on getting that closed deal, then it would more than pay for itself.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, how much is one deal? One deal is worth a lot of money for people. So,
And how much is it going to cost you to have to turn that deal away because you weren't licensed?
uh, yeah,
That's the unknown variable right there.
yeah,
Probably it didn't even come to your table because you weren't licensed. Um, so
yeah.
something to consider, guys.
And what are the repercussions of your company if you try to like do this unlicensed?
Hmm.
Wow, that's scary.
That is scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't operate in that scary zone. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, you're getting people out of that scary zone. Let's sleep well at night and let's get things buttoned up correctly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What is something that you think many CEOs don't realize about licensing as they're scaling their business?
Well, I'm not in your space. So but from my perspective, what they don't know is how long it's going to take to go through this process and to manage the process from the time they hire somebody on to the time that they need to get them licensed and then all the continuing education and all those things. There's a massive process just for one person. Imagine if you're now scaling that to 10 people. It completely will remove you as a CEO from doing those things that are important in your business. Um, bringing in dollars and looking at your business from a high level. And now you have your employees trying to manage your loan officers and account executives and manage that process. You're spending so much time and so much money on these things that are so important. It's not only that, but they're not even that good at it because that's not their forte. And so the chances of them screwing this up are very high. Not to
Hmm.
mention, the time and money being spent on it.
So, kind of pivoting here and jumping back to the lender's playbook, what when someone tunes in to listen, what are some of the like stories and insights that they can find on the podcast for you?
Yeah, I mean, so we've done 92 episodes so far.
That's impressive.
Well, thanks. Yeah, 92. So there's a lot of stories on there. I'm gonna be creating a website, by the way, a lendersplaybook.com website, so
That's
that it's
exciting.
easier for people to like find things and resources and stuff like that. But um, and that's in the works right now. But some of the stories, gosh, there's just so many. There's so many cool stories. I've One of the coolest things is I interviewed my uncle Ira, my dad's brother, and he's just so funny the way he talks about things. And it was really humbling because I realized my uncle Ira has done so many amazing things in marketing, and he works with some of the big players in the industry, like the Les Browns, Brian Tracy, Grant Cardone, and just to have my uncle Ira on there and how enthusiastic he was just really inspired me in a lot of ways, and so that was one of them. And I always knew it. I mean, I grew up kind of emulating my father and my uncle Ira, but just hearing his story on my podcast was kind of surreal. It's
That
like,
was actually one of the first episodes that I listened to, and I I mean, I'm a huge fan of Uncle Ira.
oh gosh, that's awesome. Again, I'll let him know that. Well, he'll hear this.
Please, yeah.
Yeah, he was also a very successful wrestler. And so I was always like taken after him a little bit. And he's the funny one. So when we go to, like, I remember as a kid, we go to a restaurant, and he's the one that all of a sudden will just start cracking jokes that everybody in that restaurant will start to hear and start laughing. And he even would bring out like an extendable fork. I don't know if you've seen these things where it's just this, he keeps it in his pocket. He brings it out and extends it. My story telling you this is doing no justice because you got to see it to really appreciate it. But
Like
to extend
like
this,
a
yeah,
called
like an extendable fork, right? So it's just like, it comes all the way out, like
I'm
really
thinking a
long.
teacher's pointer,
Yes,
like
exactly. Then he takes that and he'll like go to the neighbor's food and just like, oh, let me just try that. This is like so funny. People stuff like that.
Yeah.
People just think it's hilarious. And as a kid, you're embarrassed, but you're also laughing. So I remember those moments. That's just who he is.
Oh,
Um,
that's funny.
yeah. And then some of the other podcasts, I mean, stories, I've noticed that the most successful businesses that I've talked with on the podcast have gone through some kind of junk in their life or in their business. And like you said earlier, it's when you're pressured and you're up against the wall and you've got no resources left. And it's like watching a movie where, like, oh my gosh, everybody's going to die. I don't know how this is going to change. I don't know how things are going to change, but it looks like everything is going to, like, the sky's falling on them. Literally, they have no money to even buy a pizza and a Diet Coke. Like, that's how bad it is.
Yep.
And then somehow they were able to just grit it out, learn from it, and then move on and grow because of that. Those are the ones that you see great success from. It's the ones that, like, okay, when the pressure comes, it's that who you are in life is when life squeezes you, and whatever comes out is who you really are.
Mhm.
And so a lot of these people, like, well, they weren't ready for that. Not saying that they're bad people. They just weren't ready for that kind of a pressure. So if you're able to, like, build up your grit and learn from that, you're going to end up being a lot better off.
I love
That's what I
that.
learned with so many podcasts from that so far. Yeah.
How has hosting changed how you view leadership in this industry?
Uh, I mentioned it earlier, and I noticed too that the whole pivoting conversation, those that are learning how to work with AI, those that are learning how to work with, like, licensing, those who are learning to work with other partners are able to grow their business. It's those that are trying to be the lone wolf that are always falling to the wayside. Um, and so I believe that markets are going to change and interest rates are going up and down, and we're going to have different politics and laws that are being implemented. But you need to learn how to pivot and go into that whole new scenario with enthusiasm,
Mhm.
boldness, and not just be like moving on to another thing. Like, oh, I guess this wasn't for me. Let me go back to my job, or let me do something else. You just have
Yeah,
to
I heard no, I'm giving up.
yeah, right, right. The no
Pressure
might be a
pushing
good
through
thing.
it.
Sometimes a no is
Yeah.
good, and you might wanna be like, "Oh, why? Oh, it's just no, no, no." Okay. What most people do is like, okay, then they're just gonna, like, tuck their tail and run, or you take that no and, like, learn from it and keep on doing that same darn thing and
Mhm.
learn and grow and just change your perspective, change your strategy. Then you're gonna find a lot more success around that the door that's closed.
Yep. Where are you in I know, like, everything changes so quick, and we've been talking about cyclical cycles and changes in, you know, the economy and things that we have no control over, so no one's holding your feet to the fire on this one. But where is do you feel that the industry is headed in the next 2 to 3 years?
I think we're gonna keep on, um, I think we're gonna still see growth in the I think brokers are gonna start becoming more of a very pertinent thing in our industry, um, because it's a great business model for people to get into. You don't need your own money. You can start originating hard money loans really today if you want to. And so for those that are looking to just start making some money per month, to replace their current income, brokering is one of those things that I think is a really good option. So I see the growth in brokering really, really flourishing, and being tied in with I think is going to, I have no idea where AI is going to take our industry, or our industry is going to take AI or whatnot, but I do know that massive change is going to happen and is happening right now. So, um, I think that there's going to be growth. There's going to be a lot more money, I believe, coming into our industry as well from institutional capital and more securitizations. We saw some of that recently, and um, one of getting hard money loans securitized, which is huge. And I think that we're going to start seeing that in the future, more and more of it, if we can keep our integrity intact as a whole. And I think we are. There's a lot of the big companies are leading the way right now in our space, doing a really great job. And so as long as we keep providing a strong rate of return, consistent, healthy, safe return to our investors, then we're going to keep expanding and growing,
Mhm.
um, and learning how to pivot, right? And so, there's if for example, it's just practical example. If somebody's so used to doing your typical fix and flip bridge loans, your 12-month, 18-month loans, and that's what they do because the fix and flip market was hot at that time. But now this isn't the case because the DSCR is a little bit not as popular, but let's just say rentals are now becoming very popular with investors. They need to learn how to shift from doing those 12-month loans to the longer term rental loans. Maybe construction financing is starting to heat up. You need to learn how to adjust and figure those things out.
In our side of things for the broker world, we've seen a lot of people that were heavily reliant on reverse mortgages,
Oh yeah,
and that was their bread and butter. When everything switched up, a lot of them went under because they didn't have an adjustment plan in place for
mm,
how they were going to pivot, just like you're saying. So, now that, refinances are back and on the table, um, it's nice to see some people kind of using that to their advantage. But yeah, a lot of guys or people did not have a pivot plan in place.
sure,
So,
sure. Yep.
what role do you see for like things like your conference or education and platforms like podcast playing into helping the industry adapt?
So I thought about this. That's such a good question because you notice. I think everybody's noticed that if you go on Instagram, you'll see a whole bunch of real estate investor guru programs out there that are teaching how to do different niches of real estate investing. They've been doing that for a long time, and they're really good at marketing those programs. A lot of them put together really good programs too. The only there's really no gurus in our space in that sense. I don't know if that makes sense, right? Like, we have conferences, like we have our conference, we have the NPLA that talks about the Apple, Fortra, Jurassic. Those are kind of the main ones. But there's not as much of like those online courses. Like, okay, I want to learn how to become a private lender. Let me just buy a course.
Yes.
Really not a whole lot out there. I want to become a broker. Where do I go? Right? There's not, even though we are the oldest, they call it, we're the second oldest industry in the history of mankind or whatever. But there's still no there's no education on that level, right? And so I think the more podcasts, the more conferences evolve, the better off we are. So there's still a lot of room to grow in our space. And that's why I started the podcast too, because I saw that there really wasn't much of that type of education out there. And I knew that I'm not the expert. I never really want to be the expert to be like, okay, learn from me. But I know a lot more people that are just smarter than I am, that have been in the industry longer, that did a lot more things. Like, they're leading by example. Let me interview them and share that knowledge with everyone else. So I think the more we evolve and grow, the better off we all are.
100%. And you're right. Like, I don't know everything, but I know people that would be really good for you to hear from. Let me have a place, a library, or whenever it's convenient for you to hear that message, it'll be here waiting.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a really good point. So for the next generation of leaders that are coming up, what advice would you give to them?
For the next generation of leaders that are coming up. Yeah, okay. I would say to first write down, like, first, I know it's cliche, but dream big. Like, write it down. I'm big on goal setting. I'm a goal setting nerd. And
Me too.
are you really, Catalina?
Not huge.
Are you really? So, okay, so you get it, right? So, like, I say, literally grab a pen and paper and write down your goals. Like, I do this every day. Write down your goals, but dream big, for crying out loud. Don't think like, oh, well, it'd be great if I could just do this and this and that would replace my income. And no, dream big. Have a massive, big dream. And then just go break it down month by month, week by week, day by day, and just write down your goals. What's my most important next step I can take to achieve this goal that's lined up as much as I can to this dream that I have? Right? Maybe they want to become the biggest nationwide private lender in the country. Okay, why not? Right? Anything can be done if you work backwards and you start and like, okay, this is my big goal. It's massive. I get it. I'm not gonna be able to do this tonight, but if I break it down and I figure out, okay, well, what can I do right now that will move this needle? 1%, and you move it by 1%. Now, what if I did that every single day and I moved that needle 1% every day? What would happen in a year? It's astronomical, right? Now, more importantly, what's going to happen in 2 to 3 years? Because that's going to start compounding. So I say dream big. Don't think small. Think big. And then go and then work backwards and write down your goals. What I think is every morning and every night. And read books and go to my conference, for crying out loud. Listen to my podcast.
Educate yourselves.
Yeah, right. Educate.
Yeah.
Yeah. You need to figure out on this journey, who's going to help me? Who are my people that can help me achieve this?
Yep.
And so you got to educate yourself. You got to get around the right people, and you got to dream big.
And I know I asked you the question, but also for anybody that would be kind of taking that advice, I would say surround yourself with people who are going to give you good advice and encourage you.
Mm. Oh yeah.
Not people that are gonna, just crap all over your dreams and tell you that you can't do it or you're not good enough to do it. Those are not the people you want around you.
No, they are not. And gosh, what you just said is so important because people won't, like for me, people won't say that you're not good enough. Um, they won't like attack me as much, but what they'll say is like, well, you should consider this and this when you're doing this. So they'll say things that are very subtle, but they're not adding to your big dream, your goal,
Yeah.
especially if you're trying to break the mold, go outside and do something way different than anybody else, right? Everyone else is like, they're just kind of like doing the same thing they've done over and over for years. And that's fine. It's great. Just let them live their life. But if you're going to try to grow and dream big, yeah, you're going to have people that will. So the scariest things are the subtle ones in my mind.
Yeah.
Ones that are like, well, have you considered this? What happens when this happens? What if it doesn't
A-
work? Right?
And you can tell the difference between when someone says it out of like pure consideration of you and your dream
Uh,
versus, you know, um, they're just saying it to give you that seed of doubt and water that seed of doubt for
yeah.
you.
Right.
Um, because you want good counsel around you, but at the same time you don't want just yes men around you, but you also don't want somebody who's gonna say, "Oh, hey, I decided to become I'm thinking about becoming a chicken farmer. Oh, did you think about, bird flu? Oh, okay. Well, guess that dream's dead."
Right. 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 Right.
So,
Exactly.
um,
Yeah.
and what's one piece of advice that you would give to a broker or a mortgage professional listening today that wants to play bigger in their industry?
Yeah. I would say to don't be afraid in diversifying your product line.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah. Don't be afraid to play around in the hard money sandbox a little bit
Yeah.
because there's a lot of money there. There's a lot of money and there's a lot of opportunity and it's not as regulated. I'm not saying go and do crazy things. I'm just saying like you can jump into the private lending space right now, originate loans and make a lot of money for yourself while the market does its thing. You're now able to diversify your product line and 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 do well. So I would say like if you're a broker, any type of a mortgage originator, a new broker or whatever, yeah, getting into private lending. Now, okay, let me back up what private lending because I have to use private lending hard money now interchangeably. It's the same thing, really. So years ago, the term hard money was kind of shifted to private lending because hard money was that terminology had a little bit of a negative connotation to it.
Mm.
Um, but it's basically non-owner occupied lending. So lending to business purpose only. So somebody who's an investor, they're looking to flip a property, they need financing to make that happen, or an investor looking to do this development project, things like that. So it's not FHA or a VA loan or anything like that. But those brokers that are doing those FHA conventional loans, that's my recommendation is to look into private land or hard money, whatever you want to call
Yeah.
it. There's a lot of money for you there.
So, where can people learn more about hard money and about American Lending Conference? And where should they be tuning in to the Lender's Playbook?
Yeah, yeah. Just go to AmericanLendingConference.com. Check us out. And we're also all over LinkedIn. You can't go to LinkedIn without seeing one of our posts or something like that. You'll you'll see us on LinkedIn. Um, AmericanLendingConference.com. Yeah, check us out. And just reach out to me as well. I'm v- I hope I end up becoming very easy to talk to. And if somebody has questions or concerns, or if they want just somebody to help them out in navigating the space, let me know. I'm more than happy to help. And then the Lender's Playbook, yeah, you just search it on Apple or Spotify. Just search Lender's Playbook and you'll find it. And it's simple. And the resources tab too on our podcast. On our website. You can see all of our replays and resources and contact info on there as well.
Again, I will attest you're very easy to communicate with. You're very active on LinkedIn. No question comes off as being too below what you're willing to answer. And I appreciate that, because sometimes I feel, maybe out of my depth or something, but I never feel unconfident of coming to you with a question, or even if you're not the one to answer it, you'll connect me with somebody that could be a great resource.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you. Thanks, Matt, for being on with me today and giving me your insights. I really appreciate it.
You're amazing at this. Keep going with this podcast, Catalina.
Thank you.
Yeah, and you guys are doing such a great job in our industry. Keep on doing what you're doing. The service and product that you guys have is tremendous. I'm excited about this podcast that you have. And yeah, it's good stuff.
I appreciate that. Thanks, Matt. All right, until next time.
Yeah, thanks, Catalina.
All right, that wraps up today's episode. Big thanks to Matt for joining us today and sharing his insights on leadership, licensing, and the power of staying adaptable. If you enjoyed this conversation, please like, subscribe, and share this episode. And make sure to follow us on Instagram at approvedaf_licensing for more behind the scenes and upcoming episodes. So until next time, stay licensed, stay compliant, and stay approved AF.